Supreme Court, I'm expecting a big verdict today, and this is with regard to the Bilkis Bano gang rape case and specifically with the remission of the convicts. The Supreme Court is scheduled to pronounce a verdict on the petitions challenging the remission granted to 11 convicts in the case of the gang rape of Bilkis Bano and murder of 7 of her family members during the 2002 Gujarat riots. Now, the hearing of the matter was in September last year. The top court had asked whether convicts have a fundamental right to seek remission. The apex court had observed that state governments should not be selective in granting remission to the convicts. So there are now 6 petitions that have been filed before the Supreme Court against the premature release of these rape convicts. Besides the petition filed by Bano contesting the remission, several other PILs, including one by TMC leader Mahua Moitra, also challenged the relief. All 11 convicts, remember, were granted early release by the Gujarat government. But that was not all. What turned out to be more shocking was when these convicts were garlanded upon their release. That had led to a lot of outrage. Srishti Ojha is joining me for the latest on this. Let's go across to her. Srishti, do tell us a bit about if the remission has been provided by the Gujarat government, taking clearly all legal measures in mind as well. Then on what basis was this remission challenged, and how have the hearings been, and what time are we expecting the verdict to be pronounced?
Well, Pooja, we're expecting the verdict to be pronounced at 10:30 a.m. today by a bench led by Justice Nagarathna. As far as the question regarding the remission is concerned, let's go back to 2022, almost a year and a half back, when these convicts were released on early remission by the Gujarat government, which had provoked a lot of protests and also started quite many debates and discussions around whether the remission granted in such a heinous crime of not just gang rape but also multiple murders was correct or not, and whether the Gujarat government should have granted remission, and should the central government have also allowed such remission or not. All this revolves around one Supreme Court order from May 2022, where the court, when one of the convicts had approached the court seeking remission, the court had directed the Gujarat government, saying that the Gujarat government would be the appropriate government to decide on the remission in terms of the 1992 remission policy, because that was a policy in place when these convicts were convicted. So the policy in place when they were convicted is a policy that should be applied while deciding the remission, and not the policy which was in place when the remission was being decided. Because another reason of the entire conflict was that there's a 2014 policy, also updated policy of the Gujarat government, which bars convicts in cases of rape cases and murder cases from being considered for early release. So this is why multiple petitioners, including many political activists, politicians, and also Bilkis Bano herself, had eventually challenged the remission order, saying that first of all, Gujarat government was not the appropriate government to decide the remission, because the trial, remember, in these cases was transferred to Maharashtra by the Supreme Court itself after Bilkis Bano had approached the court. So considering the trial was conducted in Maharashtra, the conviction and sentencing was done in Maharashtra, it should be the Maharashtra government which should have decided.
Keep tracking the latest on what we hear from the Supreme Court, and we'll of course cut live to as and when that happens. Remember, many questions here, whether convicts, even in rape cases, are allowed to at least appeal for remission, deserving of remission as a fundamental right, or should it be complete bar on such heinous crime and cases? And importantly, could this become a precedent here on for other cases as well?